Hello, so this is an arrangement of Matchmaker for accordion, and what I've done is make the right hand quite complicated, but that keeps the left hand pretty much simple through the tune, and in the interesting middle sections then obviously the left hand is more chromatic. Basically the tune is, and I've kept the same chord for E all the way through, so find the E and it's going to be major, and then the alternative bass, which is B major. So that's very simple obviously, and then you slide down to the A for one bar, up to the F sharp, and then B, E for 2 bars. So you have a lot of E's at the beginning. I won't bother counting them, but when we get to the bit that goes, which is the little cadence point, you have an A chord, an F sharp minor chord, B on its own, E. So once more, A, F sharp minor, B, just the bass note, E. And then you're back into all the E's again. If you want to, at this point, you can add an E7, and then the A's again, F sharp minor, B, E. This is a nice section where we have, for those that are interested, we have a cycle of fifths, which is what the accordion is really designed to be best at. So we start off in A minor, down to D major or D7, down to G. Just once more, that's find E. That's A minor, D or D7, and down to G. Then all the way up to F sharp minor. This is another mini cycle of fifths. Now obviously for my accordion I can't play the alternative bass because I don't have that extra column there, so I have to do F sharp minor in root position twice. Then B7, and at this point when the right hand's doing, I'm just playing, instead of, I'm playing stab, 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 stab. So and my stabs are E minor, that's the bass and the chord together, and then E7, bass and chord, A minor, B, doesn't matter whether you play B or B7, so stab, stab, stab. So the bass stays the same, just go from minor to dominant 7th, back to A minor, and then up to B, and then you're back into the E major section of the main tune. I'm just moving into E7 there, and then this time I'm going to slow down the pace of the chord, so when it goes where it would normally have been, I'm going to slow it down, so I'm going to change key. So 1 bar, 2 bars of A instead of 1 bar of A, then F sharp minor for a whole bar, wrong chord, a chord of B for a bar instead of 1 beat, and then back to E. So just let me take you through that again with the tune. So it's going to be 2 bars of A, one bar of F sharp minor, one bar of B, and then a bar of E. And here I go through a little wandering, and that allows me to change key. And what's really nice is the bass is quite strong at that point. So we've had our 2 bars of A, 2 bars of F sharp minor, 1 bar of F sharp minor, I beg your pardon, 1 bar of B, back to E, and then you want to reach up for the B flat, which is the counter bass note, and then down the semitone. Remember that semitone is quite a long leap from the B flat, A, and then we're going to go to the D chord. It's a G chord. So once you're from the B flat to the A, it's simple. You just walk down 1 bass note and then 1 more bass note. So it's only the reach up to the B flat and back to the A that's hard. So we've had 2 bars of A. Nicely in G. For this next section, for the first phrase of this next section, you just have a G bass note, while the right hand does all the hard work. So literally just holding it down. And musically that's called a pedal. The chords are changing in the tune, and I'm holding a bass note which sometimes fits with the chords, sometimes doesn't. And when it doesn't, that's quite nice. And then I'm going to walk the bass notes down by semitone. So G to F sharp to F to E. And now I'm on the counter bass line. I'm going to go down to A and down to D. And then I'm going to go up to the G because it's easier for me to find that way next to the C. So that little passage that in the right hand goes, and then you walk down. I like to change finger on the G, so I've got the right finger to walk down. So loads of bars over a G, change finger so you walk down, down counter bass, down counter bass row, and then find your way back to G. I stay on G for 2 more bars, change to E, which again you can feel, down 1 bass to A, down 1 more to D, and then feel your way up to B, and then you're back into the main tune again. Then we have the A, F sharp minor, B, E. Now just this once before we get to the end, I'm going to hold a bass note, just the E. Because then we launch into the race to the end, so we want to calm it down before we race to the end. Then it's A major. So whenever possible, obviously you've got 2 bars, you play bass, chord, alternative bass, which is the 5th. And that, when I say that, it's the next bass note up, but we're using it not for a different chord, just part of this changing pattern. So it's still the same chord, just an alternative bass note. So say again, we've got A for 2 bars, A minor for 2 bars, that's 1 finger back, E for 2 bars, F sharp for 2 bars, again, I can't play the alternative bass because I don't have one. And then we're going to go to F sharp minor. No chord for the, but then join in the top note. And down 1 to B. And then back to E. Up to F sharp major this time. Down to B. E. To finish with. The tune. The tune is quite straightforward. That repeats. But to liven that up, because the chords are so boring at that point, I've got moving thumb notes in my right hand, and I move them slowly to start with, and then faster as the tune progresses. So the first one's going to be B for 2 bars, still the thumb, C sharp for 2 bars, D sharp for 2 bars, back to C sharp, and then twice as fast. So it's B, C sharp, then D this time. C sharp, and back to B. So that sounds like this. And the next time I play the tune, I start off straight as fast, twice as fast. And remember, the first B is the tune, but then becomes the held note. So here's the second version of the tune. And then back to D sharp and C sharp. And back to D sharp and C sharp. During the next section, when the tune goes, I have a descending line, which is, I always think descending lines, when you've got static harmonies, are really good. So the descending line actually starts on A, G, F sharp, D. So it goes like this. And then descending 5 notes in a row, G, F sharp, E, D. And then it carries on descending 1 more note to C sharp. Then up to an E, D sharp, B. And then little stabs to a D, to a C. And here is basically a B major chord with a C in the tune. So here's that section again. Then we have the tune again, with the faster moving thumb notes. Now we're slowing down the pace here, remember? F sharp and E, sorry, C sharp and E, A and B together, to G sharp and E. And then going up from that to another clash, because we're changing key to from a D to a C sharp to a C. And then we're in a new key. And there are lots of chords in this key. I'll just run through that last section again. This one, the bass line is just holding a G, but the chords here are quite nice. They go from G, actually I won't describe them in case people get confused, I'll just tell you what the notes are. It starts with a B and a D at the bottom, then the D moves up to a D sharp, and then they both walk up to a C and an E, both walk up to a C sharp and an F, both walk up to a D and D and an F sharp, back to a C sharp and F, back to a C and D, C and D flat this time, back to the B and D, keep it there, to a D and a G sharp, to an E and a G. Lots of options here, just a G and an E maybe, and then to a D and then a G chord. I'll play that all through. And at that point, when I said just keep it there for the D and the B, that's because that's the point at which the chords start becoming more interesting, and the bass notes become more interesting. We're going from G, G sharp. So descending line, when the chords are static in the right hand, it's quite nice to have the left hand being more adventurous. So, right hand, a low C sharp under the B, then a high G under the B, then a C sharp and a D together, quite sort of clashing that chord, to a D chord, and then raise the D to a D sharp, and we get some sort of B7 chord, and then you're back into the tune. It's up to you whether you do that version or and then this last little phrase is when I'm keeping the E in the bass, and then we've got the race to the end. That's over a C sharp and a thumb, then over C natural and a thumb. Exactly the same tune in the right hand 3 times, but the thumb moves down. And we jump up to a C sharp in the tune over an E, and back into F sharp minor, whole chord. Then I just keep the beat going all the time because we want to establish that strong finishing chord. Move to an F sharp 7 chord. So I'll play that again. Now they play a whole chord or a single note. Obviously that's a lot more complicated than the earlier ones, but I have put the music onto a link. I hope that's some use.